Hi, I'm Damien, and this is Enneagram Life, and today I'm talking about non-technical Enneagram Type 5s. So basically, when I first started learning the Enneagram way back when, the stereotype of the Enneagram Type 5 was told to me to be, or I read it to be, the scientist. Now, that's a stereotype, and stereotypes are tools. They're not supposed to be seen as 100% accurate. They're simplifications. And if they're used appropriately, they're very useful. And so I wouldn't say that's not useful. I think it probably was useful to see the 5s as scientists. And the 5s are probably on average more likely to be scientists than the average Enneagram, than the average personality, than all the other personalities. Like if you added up all the average of all the other personalities, I'm tongue twisting right now. Just say greater than average. On average, the chance of someone being a scientist is greater if they're a type 5. But and I think when you say a scientist, that means, at least for a lot of people, a technical person. A person that's interested in technical things. And there's Enneagram Type 5s that are not what many people or most people would classify as technical people. So I, for example, in one of my videos said a lot of engineers are Type 5s. I have said that in the past. And that's probably true. Like, on average, the average of an Enneagram Type 5, whether they're an engineer or not, is greater than the average in the population. Yeah, as a whole, the average. So, they can definitely be technical types, and often they are technical types. But I've known Enneagram Type 5s that are not technical people. So, I know one that sees himself as quite artsy. He's generally seen as artsy by people that know him. And I guess that might not be too great a leap to imagine when you think of the fact that the Enneagram Type 5 is right beside the Enneagram Type 4. And the Type 4s are often seen as artsy. And you often see that in the Enneagram system. You see that kind of, there's a complexity there where the types beside it, in ways, are often the opposites of how you would stereotypically see a particular type, which would seem counterintuitive, because if a type is near another type, there should be a lot of similarities between the two, and there is. But strangely, in some ways, there's these great dissimilarities. Anyway, so the 4 is often seen as an artsy type. Anyway, so this Enneagram Type 5 exhibits all the other many other Enneagram Type 5 traits. He's very untalkative. He's very selfish. He loves money. He has very few friends. He very rarely socializes. When he does socialize, it's within his family group or people he's known for a really long time. He's super stingy, saves money. All of those types of things. And he's very untechnical. He knows very little about history. He knows very little about academic things. And something like that, right? Like history. Some people classify that as on a humanities side of the world, which they would see as not being technical, but then others might see that as being technical history. Like, all of these things overlap. And the brain, there's all these other factors that influence personality. And I mean personality as in personality as a whole. I don't mean the Enneagram type. I mean, when someone looks at the characteristics of a person, They're not just saying what is his Enneagram type, what is her Enneagram type. They're looking at other things too. Like they're looking at, are they a technical person? Are they an articulate person? That's another confounding variable. Like when someone's articulate or inarticulate. And I have a video where I talk about Enneagram 5 as being untalkative, and that is true. But the idea of someone being articulate or not articulate, that can be something that isn't, that's a separate variable that might be influenced by their type. And it certainly would be influenced by their type, whether someone was talking a lot. But then the idea of, is someone articulate? A lot of that can relate to language abilities that are similar to, say, math abilities, in that they have to do with the individual's brain, the individual's neuro connections that might have some relationship to personality. But if someone is good at math, for example, it doesn't necessarily have every type could be good at math. Every type could be good at language. So someone could be articulate and they could also be untalkative. So I'm making a distinction there between the ability to use language to express oneself and the emotional desire to express oneself. So, I've known inarticulate, I've known non-technical 5s, and I know another one that's coming to mind, and she was, here's another thing, women are often seen as not technical, but there's plenty of 5s that are women, so there you go. Mixing up stereotypes here, just throwing them around, and just trying to give you just an overall awareness here, right? Like, these people exist, these non-technical 5s. So this woman who was a non-technical 5, sorry, I'm getting sweaty. This woman who's a non-technical 5, she is very singular, introverted, keeps to herself, low social skills, spends the time doing craft. And some people might see craft as technical, actually. And in some ways it is technical, right? Like all of these things are not set in stone. But she has basically no interest in science or history or math or literature. Now I'm putting literature in a technical category, which in some senses it is, right? Even though some people will look at it differently. But if you have a collection of thousands of books of literature, it becomes, in a way, a technical thing. She doesn't. But she does have that interest in craft, which might relate a lot to how she stays at home by herself and it occupies her. And it might relate to the fact that it's not something that she needs to think about. And even though the 5 is a thinking type, what that means is it doesn't mean that they necessarily want to be involved in intellectual activities, right? That's not what thinking types necessarily mean. There's components of that in the idea of thinking types. Sorry, this is getting confusing. And I think hopefully I've put all this muddled up, confusing, interwoven concepts together so that you get what I'm saying. That is, not all 5s are technical 5s, but many 5s are technical people. Anyway, that's about it. It's the 28th of September, 2024.